Congressman, wonderful to see you as always, sir. You know, before we get to the GOP internal politics,
good to be with you, Chris.
I just outlined there in the preamble. Let's get into the unraveling Biden corruption scheme first. Now, here's some of the stuff we've learned. The FBI received criminal information from over 40 confidential human sources. Same information the DOJ has tried to call disinformation or misinformation. Senator Grassley revealing that the DOJ and FBI are stonewalling Biden probes. The National Archives finds, you know, just a mere 82,000 pages of emails tied to Joe Biden's fake names. Conservatives unearth a $200,000 check to Biden from his brother surrounding a Middle East deal. And now, Congressman Comer, your colleague, outlining another Biden money trail.
Yeah. No, you got the Chinese company paying Hunter Biden in this joint account with Chinese businessmen, and then Hunter Biden takes $400,000 from that account to his personal account. Then $150,000 goes to James and Sarah Biden, his uncle, the president's brother, of course, and then they take from that amount $50,000, $40,000 of which goes directly to Joe Biden. So $400,000 to Hunter, $40,000 to Joe, 10% for the big guy. It squares with what we've learned thus far, but it's money that came directly from China, routed through two different companies, and then paid to Joe Biden. That sure seems fishy to me, sure seems strange, not how people normally do business, but it's consistent with the way the Bidens did business with all these shell companies, millions of dollars from foreign nationals, all kinds of countries that aren't the countries we typically do business with, and then paid out through these different companies over these several years time. Now, and the key thing about this $40,000 check, Chris, this is right after the WhatsApp message where Hunter Biden is on the phone where he says, "I'm sitting beside my dad. Send us the money. Do what you said you were going to do. Get us the money here, or if you don't, we're gonna remember this." I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the message. And then, of course, it comes in, and 10% goes to Joe Biden.
Now, everything that you've just outlined there, Congressman, the biased press, the left-wing press, the pro-Democrat press, they call that no evidence. What do you call it, sir?
No, I call it serious evidence, and it's on top of all the other things. The brand that we learned from Devon Archer, who was Hunter Biden's business partner, the brand was in fact Joe Biden. We learned that when the Burisma executives came to Hunter Biden and Devon Archer and said, "We need help to relieve us from the pressure, to take the pressure off of us." We know they went directly to Hunter Biden, called his dad, and then his dad goes to Ukraine and starts the process to fire the very prosecutor who's applying the pressure, and a host of other things we learned. And then, of course, what our committee is doing, the Judiciary Committee, is we're looking how this was handled, this whole investigation into Hunter Biden was handled by the Justice Department. You got Chairman Smith in the Ways and Means Committee looking at the whistleblowers who came forward and talked about the investigation. You got Chairman Comer and the Oversight Committee looking at the suspicious activity reports, the banking records, and how all this was done. And then our committee, the Judiciary Committee, is looking into how David Weiss and the Justice Department handled this investigation and all the things they did wrong, I think, in the way they handled it.
All right, let's pivot to some other business. The House voting on a standalone bill for aid to Israel. This follows the House passing 5 of 12 individual spending bills. Speaker Johnson says that they've been sent to the Senate where all those bills, you know, the Democrat work ethic is taking over. They're doing nothing with those bills. This comes after Senator Schumer announced something they're calling a bipartisan bill to combine the 3 spending bills into a bloated, offensive, and unaccountable minibus, is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
Is the lazy Democrat omnibus dead on arrival in the GOP-controlled House?
Well, we don't want that. I mean, this is how business is operated here. I don't know, for the last 10, 15 years, you get this big, ugly package where they throw the 12 individual bills together. They throw them into one big, ugly bill, or as you point out, a few smaller bills, but they still throw them together. And you get this ugly package on Christmas Eve. And you can't give it the scrutiny it needs. You can't look at the member-directed spending, what we typically call earmarks that are in the bill. You can't try to get the good policy language that we are trying to put in some of these bills. It's just tougher to do that when it's one big, ugly combination thrown together in this omnibus package. So we're trying to avoid that. Speaker Johnson's been clear. He does not want that to happen. He's willing to do a stopgap spending measure into next year to avoid this rush to throw it all together right before the holidays. Let's hope we can get that done and we can get back to focusing on each individual bill the way we're supposed to. We pass it, they pass it, goes to conference committee. You iron out the differences. In divided government, we'll get some things we think are important. Democrats will probably get some things they think is important. That's how it works. but that's our system. Let's not throw it all together with some ugly package that is largely passed by Democrats and a handful of Republicans. Let's do it the way we're supposed to.
Right. I'm sick and tired of this ruling by emergency that has taken place in Washington these last 15 years, as you point out. Now, let me ask you to put your political hat on. I think what happened with your run for the speakership shows the ideological divide within the Republican Party. What about that double standard some of your colleagues are pushing? You know, Santos, oh, well, he's got to go because he's a Republican, but Bowman, who admits his crime, oh, no, we don't want to call for him to go. Don't you think that double standard is wrong for your Republican colleagues to adopt?
Well, I certainly don't think we should be, any kind of expulsion resolution on George Santos. I mean, that he hasn't been convicted of anything, and frankly, that's a question for the voters in your district. If you're a member of Congress or elected official, that's a call between you and the citizens you get the privilege of representing. They decide how this works. The people, we the people, decide who represent them, who should represent them. So I'm opposed to that expulsion move by some of our colleagues. And I do think you're right to point out Mr. Bowman's, he's actually been convicted of something. I don't see an expulsion resolution coming there. But again, I'm always reluctant to go there. I think that should be a call for the people in that respective district. That's how our system works. You're accountable to them. And frankly, I always say, I think we make this job way too complicated. What did you tell the voters you were going to do when you ran for the job? If they elect you, go do that. Focus on that. That's how we should be operating. And I think if we did that more, we get more things done for the American people.
That's how conservatives operate. It's always nice to talk to you. Conservative Congressman Jim Jordan, sir. Thank you very much.